Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
A driver is arrested after police say the person started a chase, crashed, and killed the passenger. The details of this intense crash in Cumberland County.
It feels very comfortable as you step out the door this morning. Our dew point's way down in the 50s. I'll show you how many more days it will feel more like fall.
And 6 people who were arrested during pro-Palestinian protests on UNC's campus are due in court today. Coming up, what we know about the people who are calling for those charges to be dropped.
We'll get you caught up on all you need to know to get your Thursday started. We thank you for joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, it's pretty nice out there to start. Elizabeth was saying you probably could use a little bit of a light jacket because it's feeling cool. Mm-hmm. Yes, I did too. Meteorologist Elizabeth Carter with a live look over Franklinton. It's beautiful, but a light jacket is nice.
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. We take a live look at Franklinton and just so pretty out there. Our dew point is sitting at 51, which is extremely comfortable. That's something that we tend to see, on those really comfortable spring days or comfortable fall days. We don't often see it at the end of May heading into June. So enjoy this while we have it for a few days. Our temperature in the mid 60s paired with that low dew point is extremely comfortable to even cool. 59 in Roxborough, 66 in Rocky Mount, 64 in Goldsboro and in Southern Pines. So mostly we're looking at mid to upper 60s now heading out the door. Hour by hour, we climb to 81 for the high this afternoon, which does put us a little bit below normal. I'll show you when temperatures climb back above normal and how long it will stay that way. Coming up, Anthony.
And out on the roads this morning, Elizabeth, we do have some crashes to talk about. You can see all of those icons showing up right there, especially around the city of Durham, or around the city of Raleigh, rather, currently. And let's take you to one of those, Ridge Road southbound at Wade Avenue. We're not seeing any major backups, which is good. All the sensors are in the green, but still you may encounter a little bit of some slowdowns there. I-440 westbound at Ridge Road. Even over the past 5 minutes, we've made some progress with that one. They were all in the red and starting to see some of those yellow sensors showing up, which is good. We also had a little bit closer here to I-40, 18-minute delay, I-440 to US 1, also a 7-minute delay, Wade Avenue to I-540. So something we'll be watching closely. Other than that, especially around Durham, we're looking pretty quiet this morning.
Anthony, thanks. Part of US 301 is back open after it was closed for hours because of a chase that ended in a deadly crash. It happened near Tom Sterling Road, just outside Fayetteville. Nick Perlin is there in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker with the latest information on the passenger that died.
A police chase ended in a crash along this stretch of US 301 in Cumberland County. We're told a 16-year-old was killed in the crash. Now take a look at this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, and this is the car that police were chasing early this morning. You can see just the extensive damage to the car. We're told police pulled over the driver of this car because they suspected the car was stolen. That's when the driver allegedly sped away from the police and ended up crashing this car on US 301 near Tom Starling Road after hitting another car on the opposite side of the road. The 16-year-old who died was in this car police were chasing. After the crash, the driver tried to run away from police, but the driver was arrested and taken to the hospital along with another passenger. We're told the driver in the other car that was involved in the crash was not seriously hurt. We're still trying to learn the identity of the 16-year-old who died in this crash, as well as the driver who was arrested. In Cumberland County, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
And breaking news this morning in Carborough, a man is dead after a shooting at the Estes Park Apartments on Estes Drive. Carborough police tell us it happened at about 11:40 last night. At this time, police believe this was an isolated incident. We are working to find out the name of the man who died and whether police have any information about the shooter.
Today, we expect the 6 people who were arrested during the pro-Palestinian protests at UNC to be in court. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from the Orange County Courthouse. Kelsey, we know that some of those arrested were students at UNC at the time.
Renee, we do, and we're expecting to see those folks in court in just a few hours. Those 6 people who were arrested were protesting with pro-Palestinian protesters as they clashed with police at UNC on April 30th. 3 of them were UNC students at the time. Some students were banned from campus after those protests. Supporters of the protesters from UNC Students for Justice in Palestine are planning to gather outside the courthouse this morning. They're calling for the county DA to drop the charges. Now, we will have a crew here to keep you updated on what happens in court here later this morning. In the meantime, that group is expected to gather here at 9 o'clock. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Hillsborough.
And schools in Fayetteville, Spring Lake, and Hope Mills are rushing to fill safety positions. The sheriff's office says it will no longer provide them with school resource officers or crossing guards. The change will go into effect June 1st. Records show the sheriff's office provides 34 SROs and 98 crossing guards to Cumberland County schools. The school system will need to replace 18 SROs and 31 crossing guards. The responsibility will now go to local agencies. The Hope Mills police chief says it'll cause an extreme burden on already limited manpower.
In Hope Mills, we have 7 schools, so we would have to come up with SROs to fill those vacancies if the town, and I want to be clear, if the town decides to go in that direction.
And Hope Mills will have a public meeting today to figure out its next steps. The sheriff's office invited the school district and police departments to a meeting next Thursday. And we'll have a link to the Cumberland County Schools presentation about these changes. We have that on WRAL.com.
Police in Durham say someone shot a man during an armed robbery at this gas station. This happened at the BP station on Durham Chapel Hill Boulevard just after 9:30 p.m. Police say the man who was shot was taken to the hospital. He is expected to recover. Officers also say this remains an active investigation.
The jury in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial will return to deliberations at 9:30 this morning. They deliberated for more than 4 hours yesterday. And as they deliberated, they asked for some testimony from witnesses Michael Cohen and David Pecker to be read back. Trump said after Wednesday's proceedings that the trial is, quote, very unfair. His legal team is calling for the court to expedite a hearing for his appeal of a gag order in the case. It prohibits Trump from speaking out about witnesses and others that are involved in the trial.
Protesters in Durham calling for a ceasefire in Gaza are increasing their efforts. More than 100 people gathered for this rally in Durham last night. The demonstration comes after an Israeli airstrike killed dozens of civilians at a refugee camp in Rafah. U.S. military leaders say that attack did not cross the red line the Biden administration says would end funding to Israel. Protesters disagree.
Clearly, the red line has been obliterated, and we are demanding that there be a limit. Israel can't just do anything they want with our tax dollars.
You can see many of the protesters wore red, symbolizing the Biden administration's so-called red line.
Video out of Horry County, South Carolina shows a plane making an emergency landing here on a highway. And this morning we've learned it had an engine failure. It happened yesterday afternoon. 2 people were on board at the time. Authorities say the plane landed safely on Highway 501 in Carolina Forest. That's near Myrtle Beach. The plane belongs to Lift Academy Flight School. A spokesperson for the academy says the plane was on a maintenance flight when that happened. No one was hurt and the plane was not damaged.
Fuquay-Varina will need to start looking for a new police chief. Last night, the town announced Brandon Medina is retiring as chief, effective immediately. Officials did not say why he is leaving. Captain Tim Smith has been appointed as the town's acting police chief. Smith previously served in the same role in 2022.
3 men who claim an American Airlines crew racially discriminated against them are suing the airline. The men say they were kicked off a flight from Phoenix to JFK. They say the crew told them it was because of body odor. The men, who are black, say they were traveling separately and they don't know each other. They claim 5 other black men were also removed from that flight.
It was horrifying. It was like I felt like I was in prison. I was walking down and people were staring at me and I was going to get at the guillotine and my head was going to be chopped off at the end of it.
The men were all eventually allowed to get back on the plane, which was delayed by an hour. American Airlines responded to the suit in a statement saying, "We take all claims of discrimination very seriously. Our teams are currently investigating the matter as the claims do not reflect our core values or our purpose of caring for people."
Tomorrow is World No Tobacco Day. After the break, how the World Health Organization is working to prevent tobacco use among young people.
And a World War II veteran is being offered a trip to the site of D-Day. What he's saying about the upcoming visit to Normandy ahead.
And some lovely weather in our forecast for the next several days. Our humidity stays low into the weekend, but I'll show you what will change to bring back our summer pattern coming up.
Welcome back on your Thursday morning. Check out this beautiful look at White Lake on this gorgeous day. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. It's going to be a beautiful day for anything outside. Meteorologist Elizabeth Carter has a look around town. It's feeling nice out there.
It really is. Our dew point is nice and low, in the low 50s, and that makes it feel very comfortable out there. Of course, the dew point is a measure of moisture in the atmosphere, and it is not muggy at all this morning. Pretty in Goldsboro and in Apex, Chapel Hills, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. And of course, there's Fayetteville, our newsroom, a live look there. Here's a look at the big picture of what's happening out there. We had a cold front yesterday move across the area, and high pressure that's way up there over the Great Lakes is really in control of our weather now. High pressure systems rotate clockwise, so that high is pushing in some cool, dry air from Canada into our area. And we don't see that often. Once we really get into the summer pattern, maybe mid-June, all the way through the early part of September, we just don't usually see that nice flow coming in from the north. It's almost all from the south. You can see we have some showers and thunderstorms down along the Gulf Coast and some thunderstorms again across parts of the Midwest and the plains. Well, some of that moisture will start to push into our area by early next week. But today is nice and quiet. We see nice clear skies up until around 7 or 8 o'clock. Notice a little sprinkle that pops up between, say, 9 and 10 from the Triangle area northward. Most of us won't end up seeing that, but it's definitely worth a mention. So why are we seeing all this cool, dry air? We actually have a nice trough in the jet stream. And again, you can see that flow coming around that trough. And that's as far south as North Carolina. Now, sometimes we see that in the summertime, but it tends to be farther to the north, closer to the Canadian border. So they get the cool air and we don't. But we have this nice flow of comfortable, dry air. And tomorrow it digs even farther south. So we'll get even more of that into the region. Tomorrow, highs likely to be in the upper 70s and the dew points stay nice and low. But eventually that is going to shift eastward. We become, we get under a ridge of high pressure, and we're going to see that helping to bring more of a southwesterly flow. That's going to start to allow some of that moisture to our south and west to continue to move in. 79 for Friday, 83 Saturday, 85 on Sunday. So feeling great over the weekend. We'll just see a slight uptick in the humidity and the temperature as we get through the weekend. Really not much rain in the forecast all the way through Monday or Tuesday of next week. We did have a very dry April, but a much wetter May. So for the most part, we're looking good. Still just an isolated pocket there of abnormally dry conditions in eastern North Carolina. The drought monitor will come out within the next hour. We'll take a look at how things look for us for this week. And we take a look ahead to through June 13th. We're looking at about a normal amount of rainfall, but potentially above normal temperatures again. So enjoy this nice little stretch while we have it. Upper 70s to low 80s all the way through Saturday. And then we creep back up toward 90 by the middle of next week, Anthony.
And we head out to the roads this morning. The major approaches into the city of Durham currently. Let's talk about those. About a 6-minute delay there, Wade Avenue. There's I-40 west from Wade Avenue. 3-minute delay westbound from North Carolina 50. Otherwise, we're looking at pretty decent there. No major crashes to report around Durham. We head a little bit closer to Raleigh. You can see it gets a little bit more active. An 11-minute delay US 1 south from Wake Forest. 7 minutes there, I-87 south from Knightdale. Otherwise, relatively minor. There's a couple crashes with those delays, so just keep that in mind if you're hitting the roads this morning. Looking decent, though. Otherwise, we will continue to track it here as we go through the next couple hours.
Anthony, thanks. Today, Boeing is expected to tell federal regulators how it plans to fix its safety and quality problems. The FAA required the company to produce a plan after one of its jetliners suffered a blowout of a fuselage panel during an Alaska Airlines flight on January. Whistleblowers have accused the company of taking shortcuts that endanger passengers. Boeing disputes that claim. A panel convened by the FAA found shortcomings in the aircraft maker's safety record.
A Michigan State Police detective sergeant has been charged with murder. He faces a life sentence for hitting a man with an unmarked cruiser during a foot chase, killing him. Detective Sergeant Brian Keeley is facing charges in connection with the death of Samuel Sterling, a 25-year-old black man. Police video shows an unmarked SUV driven by Keeley hit Sterling as he ran from officers last month outside of Grand Rapids. Sterling was taken to the hospital where he later died. Police say Sterling was wanted on multiple felony warrants. An arraignment date for Keeley has not been set.
Jury deliberations are underway in Idaho in the Chad Daybell murder trial. Daybell is accused of killing his first wife, Tammy, and 2 stepchildren. Tylee Ryan and Joshua Vallow. During closing arguments, prosecutors told the jury Daybell only cared about money, power, and sex. The defense argued he was a victim and pinned the blame on his second wife, Lori Vallow Daybell. If convicted, he could face the death penalty.
A disturbing story out of Houston. Police are investigating the death of a woman whose remains were found in the jaws of an alligator. The woman was reported missing on Monday. Her cause of death has not been determined. Meanwhile, police shot and killed that alligator. Fatal alligator attacks are rare in Texas. The last one was in 2015 when a man was killed while swimming in a bayou.
14 pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong could face life in prison after being convicted for their roles in an unofficial election. The verdicts came down yesterday as part of China's national security crackdown on Hong Kong. The activists and politicians were part of an unofficial primary in 2020 to decide who should contest city lawmaker elections. They are among 47 people arrested as part of the crackdown. They've been held without bail for more than 3 years.
The cost to get a liver transplant is going up, raising concerns that certain people who need a transplant are at a disadvantage. A change in policy in 2020 prioritizes the sickest liver transplant candidates within 500 miles of a donor's hospital. That was meant to increase the number of transplants. A new study finds that it's increased transplant costs by 11% due to the cost of flying donor livers. The study finds the number of liver transplants has actually gone down since the policy change. Tomorrow is World No Tobacco Day, the annual World Health Organization campaign designed to sound the alarm over the potentially deadly effects of using tobacco. Ted Linder breaks down the red flags officials are sharing over the tobacco industry's efforts to try and hook new customers.
Tobacco use is triggering new calls for action as the World Health Organization accuses the tobacco industry of targeting young people in a new report called Hooking the Next Generation.
They're paying ads and product placements with streaming services. And they have partnerships with food delivery services so that you can get your e-cigarettes through the app right at your door.
Worldwide, the research reveals roughly 37 million teens between the ages of 13 and 15 use tobacco products. When it comes to e-cigarettes, the report says many countries are seeing higher use among kids than adults, something experts attribute to the availability of tempting flavors.
Bubblegum, vanilla ice cream, cookies, all aimed for children.
In the U.S., the WHO report found more than 70% of adolescent e-cigarette users would not be using them if they only came in tobacco flavor. While the Food and Drug Administration has taken action against vaping and flavored e-cigarettes, many illegal products can be found online and in stores.
We are calling on governments to ban all these flavors.
The WHO cites prior studies that show e-cigarette use in young people can increase their chances of smoking traditional cigarettes by 3 times. The CDC says tobacco use is the leading preventable cause of cancer and cancer deaths. But tobacco can also increase your risk for heart and lung disease, diabetes, stroke, and more. Ted Linder, Fox News.
Good morning. I'm Chris Lovingood in the WRAL Live Center, giving you a live look right now outside Trump Tower in New York. We are just roughly an hour away from that second day of jury deliberations in the hush money trial that he is facing there. We're watching very closely to see what unfolds today. The jury actually spent several hours yesterday deliberating, but requested to be reread more of the testimonies from 2 of the key witnesses, including Michael Cohen there. So we'll be watching this the entire day. Again, it starts at 9:30, so watch for updates beginning at noon on WRAL and throughout the day as this story continues to develop.
All right, thank you, Chris. A World War II veteran has been selected to attend the upcoming battlefield return to Normandy for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Arkansas native William Toombs is 100 years old. When he was 18, he enlisted in the Army, leaving his then job as a railroad mechanic apprentice. Toombs served as a flight engineer gunner on both B-17s and B-24s with the 493rd Bomb Group of the 8th Army Air Corps. They were known as the Mighty Eighth.
I don't believe I could have picked a better crew, and every man knew his job.
He'll soon join around 50 World War II veterans selected to attend the battlefield return to Normandy. They will fly to France on June 1st ahead of the anniversary on June 6th.
The town of Apex is celebrating $1.9 million in federal funding to complete a sewer interceptor project. Funding was secured through a bipartisan government funding package signed into law by President Biden in March. Congressional Representatives Wiley Nickel and Deborah Ross will host a news conference with Apex Mayor Jacques Gilbert and other community leaders. That meeting begins at 10 at the Apex Commerce Center. Raleigh City leaders want to know how you travel around downtown. They launched a study to figure out how to meet changing transportation needs. Data shows 3 out of every 4 residents drive to work, which is fewer people than a decade ago. The city allocated $500,000 to tackle this.
This weekend on WRAL, the USA's top gymnasts will be trying to get one step closer to qualifying for the Paris Olympics. The U.S. Gymnastics Men's Championship airs Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock on WRAL. After that, it's the Women's Championship at 7, and this is the final qualifying event before the 2024 Olympic team trials next month.
A man convicted of killing his pregnant wife is appealing for a retrial. Why he's facing setbacks after the judge accepted a new piece of evidence. Coming up.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning and happy Thursday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. We are in for another beautiful day. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has a live look over Apex. It's a little cool out there this morning.
It is. It looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Though, look at that blue sky out there, just feeling fantastic. A little unusual for this time of year. Temperatures are climbing into the mid to upper 60s now, though, so feeling very comfortable heading out. Our dew point is still nice and low, so it feels great for exercise today. We'll be in the mid 70s at lunchtime, and highs will be in the low 80s for this afternoon. We may see even lower temperatures and dew points for tomorrow. We'll check that out coming up on Fox 50. Anthony?
As we head out to the roads this morning, Elizabeth, we did have an earlier crash here showing up on this camera. This is our I-540 at Honeycutt Road camera. That has since cleared, though. You can see everything is moving along very smoothly there. Just those normal cars kind of headed into work there. I think for the most part looking pretty good. We take a look there at around the city of Raleigh. You can see those major approaches. About a 4-minute delay I-87 southbound from Knightdale. 7 minutes there from US 1 south of Wake Forest. Otherwise, we're looking pretty decent here. We will continue to track it, though, through this morning.
Thanks, Anthony. A driver is in custody after police say they started a chase, crashing and killing their passenger. Fayetteville police say they thought the car was stolen and tried to pull over the car. After that chase, the car crashed on US 301. The driver of the other car in the crash is expected to be okay. And today we expect 6 people arrested during the pro-Palestinian protests at UNC to be in court. They were arrested during clashes with police April 30th. 3 of them were UNC students at the time. Organizers from UNC Students for Justice in Palestine say they plan to rally at the courthouse today. Next on Fox 50, why VinFast's Chatham County plant is seeing more delays. And next on Today, with heart attacks in young healthy adults on the rise, doctors work to identify risk factors.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
A driver is in custody after police say they started a chase and caused a crash. What we know about the crash that killed their passenger.
And it feels very comfortable as you step outside this morning. Our dew point is low. I'll show you how long it will feel this good coming up.
And 6 people who were arrested after pro-Palestinian protests on UNC's campus are expected to appear in court today. Coming up, who's calling for those charges to be dropped this morning?
A lot going on here on this Thursday morning at 8:30. We appreciate you sticking with us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Thanks for joining us. We're going to start with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner because she said she's going to let us know how long these nice conditions are going to stick around. All good things have to come to an end, right?
Oh, they do. One thing that we know about weather is it is always changing. So this is just a lovely period that we'll have for a few days, all the way into the weekend. But by early next week, it's going to feel like summer again. Gorgeous here in Franklinton this morning with beautiful sunshine. Our dew point is at 51. That's a measure of moisture in the atmosphere. So the lower this number goes, the better it feels. And 51 feels very nice. Sitting at 65 across the Triangle area right now. It's a little warmer in Fayetteville at 68. It is 61 in Roxborough, 65 in Goldsboro, 64 in Southern Pines. So very comfortable heading out the door. Mid to upper 70s at lunchtime. We'll see a high of 81 this afternoon. We will have even cooler, drier conditions for tomorrow. But we'll talk more about when we see this changing back to more normal conditions coming up. Anthony?
Looking pretty good there, Elizabeth. As we head out to the roads this morning, we did have a couple crashes to talk about, and there's still a few that I'm going to talk about here in just a second. I-440, though, at Ridge Road, you can see a beautiful shot right there. Cars moving along smoothly. Of course, those roads are nice and dry, thankfully. There was an earlier crash, though, I-540 westbound. That has since cleared, though, north of Raleigh, so we're looking good there. We head closer to Durham, about a 2-minute delay, 501 there from Infinity Road. Also, I-40 west, about a 4-minute delay from Wade Avenue. Not any major backups showing up right there, just that normal morning congestion. We get a little bit closer, though, to Raleigh. You can see about a 7-minute backup US 1 south from Wake Forest. We will be watching all of these routes, though, closely this morning, but for the most part here, we're looking pretty good.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Part of US 301 is back open after it was closed for hours after a chase ended in a deadly crash. It happened near Tom Starling Road, just outside of Fayetteville. Nick Perlin is there in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker with the details.
A police chase ended in a crash along this stretch of US 301 in Cumberland County. We're told a 16-year-old was killed in the crash. Now take a look at this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, and this is the car that police were chasing early this morning. You can see just the extensive damage to the car. We're told police pulled over the driver of this car because they suspected the car was stolen. That's when the driver allegedly sped away from the police and ended up crashing this car on US 301 near Tom Starling Road after hitting another car on the opposite side of the road. The 16-year-old who died was in this car police were chasing. After the crash, the driver tried to run away from police, but the driver was arrested and taken to the hospital along with another passenger. We're told the driver in the other car that was involved in the crash was not seriously hurt. We're still trying to learn the identity of the 16-year-old who died in this crash, as well as the driver who was arrested. In Cumberland County, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Breaking news this morning in Carborough. A man is dead after shooting at the Estes Park Apartments on Estes Drive. Carborough police tell us it happened around 11:40 last night. At this time, police believe this was an isolated incident. We're working to find out the name of the man who died and whether police have any information about the shooter.
Today, we expect 6 people arrested during the pro-Palestinian protests at UNC to be in court. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from the Orange County Courthouse. And Kelsey, we know some of the people arrested were UNC students at the time.
Michelle, they were, and we're expecting to see those people in court in just a few minutes here. Let's give you a look now at video. These 6 people who were arrested happened when pro-Palestinian protesters clashed with police at UNC on April 30th. 3 of them were UNC students at the time. Some students were banned from campus after those protests. Supporters of those protesters from UNC's Students for Justice in Palestine are planning to gather outside the courthouse this morning. They're calling for the county DA to drop the charges. We'll have a crew here to keep you updated on what happens here later this morning. In the meantime, that group is expected to gather out here this morning at 9 o'clock. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Hillsborough.
Town leaders in Hope Mills will hold a special meeting tonight to discuss the loss of school resource officers and school crossing guards at several public schools next fall. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office previously staffed those positions. Staffing shortages within the Sheriff's Office means deputies can no longer cover all schools in the county, and that leaves 18 SRO positions and 31 crossing guard positions vacant. Tonight's meeting starts at 6 at the Hope Mills Town Hall. We will have a link to Cumberland County Schools' presentation about these changes on WRAL.com.
The jury in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial will return to deliberations at 9:30 this morning. They met for more than 4 hours yesterday in the first day of deliberations. The jurors asked for parts of the judge's instructions to be reread. They also called to hear testimony from witnesses Michael Cohen and David Pecker read back to them. The judge told the jury their decision must be unanimous, but they do not have to agree about which unlawful means they believe Trump used. Former President Trump called the proceedings unfair.
Durham City Council will continue to review the proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year at a special work session today. This is the second day of in-person meetings to go over the budget, which includes increased compensation for city employees and capital improvement projects. Today's work session starts at 9 in the City Hall Committee Room. It will be live streamed to the city's YouTube channel. A public hearing is scheduled for next Monday at 7 p.m.
An Ohio man is on supervised probation after pleading guilty to threatening to kill a North Carolina lawmaker. A judge sentenced Nicholas Daniels to 2 years of probation. He also got a suspended sentence of 6 to 17 months. Authorities say Daniels used Facebook Messenger to State Senator Todd Johnson, threatening to kill him and his family.
2 employees and several customers are facing charges of selling and possessing drugs at 3 downtown Raleigh bars. Alcohol law enforcement says it received complaints back in January. 2 Big Easy employees, Kayla Boyd and Matthew Brown, are accused of planning to sell drugs and allowing criminal activity at a licensed ABC premise. A customer is also accused of selling drugs. The owner there says he's planning to add off-duty officers to prevent something like this in the future.
Another delay might be on the horizon for VinFast's multi-billion-dollar factory in Chatham County. Reuters is reporting the electric vehicle maker is considering pushing its planned operations beyond 2025. This would be the second delay that we know of. VinFast has also downsized its factory footprint from the original plans by about 19%. A VinFast representative says the company is conducting a thorough review and evaluation of all aspects of the construction process for our North Carolina factory.
A gathering today will urge state lawmakers to preserve and protect LGBTQ+ rights and freedoms. Equality North Carolina is hosting a news conference at the General Assembly beginning at 11. Organizers say it's important to make their voices heard ahead of the November elections in the wake of several anti-LGBTQ+ laws passed in the state within the last year.
The UNC Health Championship returns to Raleigh today. The professional golf tournament helps build buzz around golf in North Carolina just before the start of the U.S. Open in Pinehurst next month. Legendary basketball coach Roy Williams will serve as the honorary chairman of this year's UNC Health Championship. Proceeds from this year's tournament will support NC Children's Hospital. The event runs through Sunday. And speaking of golf, the 79th U.S. Women's Open kicks off today at Lancaster Country Club in Pennsylvania. Pros like Nelly Korda, Hannah Green, Allison Corpuz, and Ingi Chun will hit the green this week. This year's purse is the largest payout in all of women's golf to date, $12 million. Make sure to tune in to WRAL this weekend for full coverage of that tournament. That starts 3 p.m. on Saturday and 4 p.m. on Sunday.
Boeing set another date for its spacecraft to launch. What we can expect from Saturday's liftoff after several days.
And the trailer is out for Moana 2. Just ahead, a look at several new movies coming to theaters soon.
And here's a live look at Southern Pines on this gorgeous Thursday morning. You know there will be a lot of people playing golf and doing something outside today. Coming up, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will tell us how long these low dew points and beautiful conditions will last. Welcome back. It is 8:42. We're going to take you up to our northern communities and give you a live look at Warrenton. Nothing but beautiful blue skies out there right now. I would almost call that cerulean. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. You've got a lovely shade of blue behind you as well.
Exactly. Maybe call that aqua. I don't know. We come up with a lot of different names for this beautiful sky and the gorgeous lake, too. This is a live look at Lake Gaston from the Point Restaurant. I imagine this is going to be a very popular place over the weekend. Temperatures are going to be very pleasant. We'll see a lot of sunshine. Don't really have much rain in the forecast anytime for the next 7 days. That takes us all the way out, at least into early next week. 65 right now, heading out the door. We do have a light north wind, and that north wind is what's making it feel so comfortable out there. We have a nice low dew point or low humidity and comfortable temperatures around town today. 81 in Raleigh, 79 in Durham, and 83 in Fayetteville. And then paired with that low humidity, it just feels wonderful out there. It's going to be a nice weekend for getting out, though. There are a number of festivals across the region. One of those in downtown Raleigh is the International Festival. It starts at 11 and ends at 8 p.m. It's there on Fayetteville Street, so it starts off with temperatures in the mid-70s, and then mid-afternoon we'll see a high of 82 degrees. We do have some cool nights in our forecast, including tonight. Temperatures will drop back into the mid to upper 50s. So 54 in Lewisburg and Rocky Mount, 54 in Durham and Siler City, 57 in Goldsboro. This is the temperature that you'll walk out the door to if you're headed out between, say, 6 and 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. 54 in Sanford, 59 in Fayetteville, 56 in Southern Pines. So nice and cool to start with tomorrow morning. And you can see the cool color contour there in blue. That's an indication of temperatures below below normal. We'll see that all the way up until around Sunday. Then we begin to see some of that warmth creeping on. And it'll be a slow change, but change it will. Right now, we're looking at 51 as the dew point. The lower that number, the more comfortable it feels, down into the 40s, which we saw this morning earlier. Very refreshing. And then it's tolerable, the next level. But by the time we get to early next week, we're moving back into the steamy category. As a matter of fact, by Tuesday, we may be back to tropical. And that's what we typically see, mid-June all the way through the end of August, when it just feels so sticky out there. Temperature today, 81, 79 tomorrow, 83 Saturday. And then by the time we get into the middle of next week, we're pushing 90 degrees again.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Convicted killer Scott Peterson's push for another trial had a new shot at freedom is facing a setback. Peterson made a court appearance yesterday from prison. It's been 20 years since he was convicted of killing his pregnant wife, Lacey, and their unborn child, Connor. A judge denied most of Peterson's attorney's requests for new DNA testing on evidence they say was suppressed. The judge allowed just one piece of evidence, a piece of duct tape, to go to a new round of testing.
Intense video shows the moments an LA County Sheriff's Deputy Patrol car got T-boned. This happened in Santa Clarita, California. Dash cam video shows the patrol car driving through the intersection when another car crashes into it. The force sent the patrol car into the air, and it flipped several times before it landed upright. A deputy and 2 other people were injured. The crash is under investigation.
Renee, I want to pull our viewers into the WRAL Live Center. Good morning. I'm Chris Levingood. Just look at our stock futures this morning. Not looking too good as things begin in the red. The market obviously not opening just yet, but this is all happening, what you're seeing here, a day before the Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index is going to be released. That basically is released every month, and it sort of changes and reflects the changes in prices of goods and services that are purchased by consumers. Now, the last report said that there was an increase in current dollar personal income in March, meaning that there was an increase in compensation. And this starts to tell a narrative because just this week, the Consumer Confidence Index was released, which sort of painted a picture of how people are feeling about the economy, which some people are feeling better, but there are still some worries.
Chris, thank you. Scientists in San Francisco have created a bilingual artificial intelligence brain implant to help a man who became paralyzed nearly 2 decades ago. This implant helps the patient switch between communicating from English to Spanish. The patient received it back in 2019, but it wasn't until 3 years later scientists helped train it to become bilingual using AI. Before this, he could only communicate in English.
Veterans no longer have to pay co-pays for some outpatient mental health care and substance use disorder appointments. The first 3 visits each calendar year will be covered. The benefit goes through 2027 to improve access to mental health services and decrease out-of-pocket costs.
A pair of ancient Egyptian skulls, both thousands of years old, belong to some of history's earliest known cancer patients. A new study reveals both skulls had cut marks around cancerous growths, suggesting that ancient Egyptians explored ways to treat cancer through operation. The study also noted one of the skulls had 2 healed lesions from traumatic injuries. Ancient Egyptians were known for their medical know-how, and their texts would describe how they would treat a range of illnesses and injuries, in some cases by building prosthetic limbs and inserting false teeth.
After several setbacks, Boeing's first astronaut flight is scheduled to happen on Saturday. The first launch attempt earlier this month was scrapped because of a helium leak. After reviewing the spacecraft, officials say the Starliner capsule can fly 2 pilots to the International Space Station safely. Saturday's flight will be the 3rd test flight for Starliner.
A rare Tyrannosaurus skull is now on display in Colorado. It's on display at the Rocky Mountain Dinosaur Resource Center in Woodland Park. That's about 30 minutes from Colorado Springs. It was first discovered in Montana in 2001 and then digitally reconstructed using 3D scanning technology. Researchers determined its species lived 77 million years ago in the Utah-Montana region and predates the Tyrannosaurus rex.
This thing, 10 million years older than T-Rex, this is one of one. This is the only one that's been found from Montana, and it may end up representing a new species. More research has to be done on it, but it's highly likely that it's something brand new to science.
So there's Tyrannosaur and Tyrannosaurus rex. It's been dubbed Sir William after the man who found it, William Stein.
North Carolina Senator Ted Budd visited the Blue Ridge Parkway as he continues to push to make it a National Historic Landmark. He visited a couple of the popular outlooks, including Three Knobs and Black Mountain. Earlier this year, Senator Budd sent a letter to the National Park Service encouraging the Department of Interior to make Blue Ridge Parkway a National Historic Landmark. The designation would open up opportunities to get federal funding to maintain the parkway.
WRAL's 5 on Your Side is helping you find the best bug sprays for the summer season. Consumer Reports says the most effective repellents against mosquitoes and ticks contain 25 to 30% DEET as their active ingredient. That includes Ben's Tick and Insect Repellent Wipes, Ben's Tick and Insect Repellent Wilderness Formula Pump, and 3M Ultrathon Insect Repellent 8. Consumer Reports says products with 30% oil of lemon eucalyptus are good alternatives for people concerned about the chemical DEET. You can find the full report on the 5 on Your Side page on WRAL.com.
Well, sometimes we go weeks without a new trailer for a big upcoming movie, and then sometimes a flood of them comes in all at once. David Daniel has a roundup of the latest in today's Hollywood Minute.
We clearly have a situation here. We have decided that the only course of action is for you both to work together.
No, it's not how I work. This is not how I work.
George Clooney and Brad Pitt reunite in Wolves as lone wolf fixers forced to team up. The thriller hits theaters September 20th.
This is a call from the ancestors to sail to new skies and reconnect our people across the entire ocean.
Moana and Maui return in the first teaser for Moana 2. The animated sequel sails into theaters November 27th.
This thing with my mother, this gross sexcapade thing, it's over. Bye, Chris.
Bye. See ya.
You're not Jack and Rose, just get out of the car!
Joey King is displeased when her movie star boss falls for her mother in A Family Affair. Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron also star in the rom-com, debuting June 28th on Netflix.
Open your eyes and look clearly at what's going on around you. We might all be in danger.
Emma Stone and Willem Dafoe re-team with their Poor Things director Yorgos Lanthimos in Kinds of Kindness. Jesse Plemons won Best Actor at Cannes for the anthology film in select theaters June 21st.
Welcome, new students, to Shiz University, Miss Elphaba. You can room with Miss Galinda.
And Wicked gets the Lego treatment. A frame-by-frame, brickified trailer is the latest promo for the Wicked movie, landing in theaters November 27th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
A lot of good movies there. Well, three-time Olympic gold medalist Gabby Douglas is ending her attempt to be a part of the 2024 U.S. gymnastics team. Douglas announced yesterday that she will not compete in this weekend's national championships. She says that she suffered an ankle injury while training. The 28-year-old was trying to become the oldest American woman to compete in gymnastics at the Olympics since 1952.
Here's an unusual thing to see on a Major League Baseball field. A player's dog got onto the infield and interrupted the pregame workout. The dog, named Harley, belongs to Matt Chapman of the San Francisco Giants. Harley got a little excited by a baseball, ran after it while the opposing Phillies were warming up. Everyone was a good sport about it, especially Harley.
You can't get mad at that puppy. It's so cute.
No, you should keep it in the outfield there.
I love it. And speaking of cute, check this out. Firefighters in Rocky Mount saved a tiny kitten that was trapped in a storm drain for 3 days. Crews worked to coax the cat out of the drain using a booster line and a very low water pressure. The department posted the pictures to Facebook. That kitty is all safe. Well, before we go to break, here are your winning lottery numbers. We'll get another check on weather and traffic coming up next.